I've been making a series of shorts talking about the different forms of conflict in literature and how not all of them actually need an antagonist. And we're down to our last two options. Man versus technology. Now, man versus technology was a bit harder for me to find on my shelf because I primarily read fantasy, not sci-fi. And yeah, man versus technology appears a lot more in sci-fi. But it does actually appear in fantasy as well. Because at its core, it's about man fighting the thing that we have made, not about fighting someone using the thing that we have made. So when you see it in fantasy, it's usually like a spell that has gone awry that doesn't have anyone behind it. Now, my first example is The Vindicate Prophecies by Brian Fairy, and this one does actually have a little bit of an antagonist as well, but the majority of the book, what these two characters are dealing with is a piece of parchment that anything you write on it will come true, and a lot of bad things have been written on this parchment, and they're having to deal with the defeating the actual technology of this spell, and that's man versus technology. But I also have In the Lives of Puppets by T.J. Klune. And yeah, this one is straightforwardly man versus technology because literally the characters are going up against robots and AI. But beyond that, this is also a book that's very much about basically how technology is going to be too much like us because we built it and therefore is going to mirror our problems. And yeah, that's a man versus technology story. But there's also man versus the supernatural. And that one I could have picked up pretty much any book off of my shelf. Like, they are all man versus supernatural. But specifically, when you're looking at man versus supernatural, you're looking at fighting the actual supernatural thing, not fighting a character that is supernatural. So, like, if you have a werewolf and you're fighting them, if the werewolf is a fully blown character, that's not man versus supernatural. But things like Lockwood and Company by Jonathan Stroud is. A lot of what these characters are fighting are ghosts that are just, sort of evil. They show up, they attack you, they kill you, they go away. Now, there are other conflicts in these books, but a lot of the core is man versus supernatural. And another example is Direct Ascendant by Tanya Huff. Again, this one has a lot of other conflicts in it because at its core, it's really a cozy romance more than anything else, so there's a lot of man versus self in here, some man versus fate, but they also get to fight off an evil darkness at the end, and that is man versus supernatural. But yeah, so the important thing is when you're discussing books and writing books and living with books, remember that not every book has an antagonist. Sometimes you're fighting a concept, sometimes you're fighting inevitable, and sometimes you're fighting yourself. There are a lot of different forms of conflict.